everyone, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with yet another video. Taking a look at, well, the third desktop PC that I have in my house, and it is coincidentally the oldest desktop PC I have in my house. I put this system back together back in 2010. The processor that it has in it is an AMD Phenom II X6 1090T, which was released on April 27th, 2010. The graphics card is an ATI Radeon HD 5770, which came out in 2009. And the motherboard is a Gigabyte GA-880 GA-UD3H. And near as I can tell, also released in 2010, because I don't know if you can see that text or not, but that says June 10th, 2010. So I wasn't able to find the exact release date on it, but I think all of this stuff came out roughly the 2010 timeline. This machine has 16 gigabytes of RAM in it. So essentially what we're looking at is a 10-year-old gaming computer. And there are two reasons I didn't put, because I recently made a video about the GTX 970. And there's basically two reasons I didn't put the 970 in this computer. And reason number one is because I actually dual boot this machine with Windows XP, and the 970 is not officially supported at XP, although from my understanding it is possible to get it to run. But it's not officially supported, and this machine is useful for, playing older games in XP that don't work well in Windows 10. And sometimes VMs do not do the job, that is for sure. So what we're going to actually be doing is we're going to be running some tests here, and I have this is the newest version of the AMD Catalyst Control Center that will work with this card in Windows 10. They'll actually let us overclock the GPU. Now, I did try overclocking the CPU some, and I'll tell you, that was definitely an adventure of errors because, well, I got that to crash a whole lot. So we're going to start off by looking at some modern game, well, relatively modern games, certainly much more modern than what this card is, and see how it does FPS wise. We're starting with Doom 2016, and right now Fraps is showing an impressive like nearly 60 frames a second, but the game hasn't exactly loaded yet. So we'll see how it does, and my camera doesn't want to focus on the screen. Come on. All my settings are on low, by the way, and I have it set to 720p resolution. Obviously, this is Doom 2016, in case I didn't mention that. Now, I'm not sure if this game will cause the GPU to, well, crash Windows if I decide to overclock it, because we're going to see what the FPS is, with the stock clock on the GPU, as well as the with it overclocked. Okay, so in this game, with everything set to low 720p resolution, we're getting 16 FPS. Not that great of a gameplay experience. I'm not sure what it'll be when I actually get to the enemies. That's going to be kind of the real test there. Oh, we're up above 20 FPS. fairly certain it'll drop dramatically. Not that it's running smooth now. Okay. We're not even getting 20 FPS. Obviously, as you can see, this is definitely not a great gameplay experience. So, what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna overclock this thing, and the trade-off you have to make to actually overclock it and have it not crash, I've noticed that if you do 100% fan on it, it'll actually hold up more often than not. So, but there are some games where it will crash, and definitely you will see it crash. So here we go, and let's see if I get up to 20. Now I'm getting maybe a couple additional frames, but I'm not even really hitting 20 frames on this one here. So, I mean, at least it's not a slideshow. But I don't think anyone would argue that this is a good gameplay experience. We're getting above 20 every now and then. This is actually pretty similar to the numbers I was getting on my integrated graphics on a different... Oh, well, I just died. Or am I charging up? Oh, I died. Okay. So, as you can see, not that great in this game. That's not exactly a shock. So, we're going to run another game just to see what we get. And I have a feeling it might crash it. We'll find out. So, see you guys in a minute. Okay, here's another game that I like to test. This is Just Cause 4, a game from 2018, kind of similar to GTA, but definitely more punishing on this hardware. And we are running 12 and 13 FPS without the GPU overclocked, right? So, not doing so hot at all. And yes, this is 720p, all, everything's set to low. So let's go ahead and I'll just make sure. But yep, everything's low. That's what I thought. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead now and overclock the GPU. And it may instantly crash. I can't remember if it will or not, but we'll find out. So with it overclocked, the GPU, we get an awesome 14 to 15. Oh, no, drop down to 12 frames a second. Let's see if I can actually get to any enemies. Oh. No, I was wanting to use my grapple. Wow, there's almost like a second or two of lag between when I press the jump button and him actually jumping. This is really bad.
The road is walled off.
Now we're getting some single-digit FPSs now. And this is, keep in mind, with the GPU overclocked. I am kind of surprised it hasn't crashed on us, though. Not a bad thing. Okay, folks, it's going to take me a while to actually get to combat. So, before I do, I'm going to actually pause so you guys don't have to sit through this. I'll come back and we'll see what kind of FPSs we get when we're in actual combat. See you guys in a moment. Oh, I just crashed the computer, I think. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, good. I was just on the wrong menu or window. What's shocking, guys, is I don't know if you can see this or not, but the CPU does not really seem to be the limiter in this game. It seems to be totally GPU bound. Because the CPU is only at, like, 39, 40%, which is amazing considering it's a 10-year-old CPU. I'm surprised that the CPU is performing as well in this game as it is. And the only thing turned on is the turbo boost that it has for some of the multi-cores. So yeah, the frame rate doesn't seem to be a whole lot worse in combat versus not, but even overclocked with the GPU definitely doesn't work. So that's it for this game. See you guys in the next one. Okay, folks, here we have GTA 5 loaded up. It's the next day, by the way, because I couldn't stay up anymore making this video. And we got 720p settings and everything on low. Let's see how GTA 5 does, according to the benchmark. And right now, the GPU is not in overclock. It's just in kind of standard running operation here. Let's see how she does. Come on, let's load those benchmarks. Waiting for benchmarks. Come on. Okay, here we go. Hey, we're getting pretty great frame rates, actually. We're hitting like over 70. That was impressive. 90? Wow. I'm shocked, actually, that it's running this well on this. Come on, camera. Don't do the swirly thing. That is much better than I thought it would do. And this is the one benchmark that's really outclassed the integrated graphics on my other PC that I tested a while back. Wow, we're getting over 100 on that one. Impressive. Did not expect this at all. Jeez. Wow, over like 80 on this for 7. Yeah, I didn't think it would go this well. Very interesting. Keep in mind, the GPU is not currently overclocked at all. I didn't think smooth frame rates in GTA 5 would be possible with this card, but shows what I know. Completely blown away by this. So, wow. So I'm gonna actually pause real quick, guys. I'm gonna actually up the difficulty of this a bit for the card. I'm gonna up the resolution and some settings and graphics. We're gonna see how it does. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, folks, I've actually upped the resolution to the native, which is 1080p on this screen, and we were getting over 60 FPS in the first part of the benchmark here. We're getting around 60 FPS on this one too. Now, we're getting some dips below 60 FPS, but it's close. It's doing much better than I thought. Wow, this is surprisingly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm really kind of blown away by this. Now, granted, I do have every other detail setting set to low, yada, 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 but still, the fact that this game is able to run as smoothly on this hardware as it is kind of shocking to me. I'm sure upping the detail would probably really kill the frame rate on this, but it's running pretty damn smooth. You guys to let it dipping below 60 FPS, but you know, there's no real stuttering to the naked eye that I can see. It seems just the game's running pretty well and doing what it needs to do. So I'm impressed. So what I'm going to do next is I am in fact going to overclock the GPU and see how it does. So I'll pause real quick, see if this thing crashes, and we'll be back. Okay, folks, I did overclock the GPU. Amazingly, the game didn't crash, and that does seem to have a positive effect on the FPSs here. Although I could definitely saw some weird artifacts in the wheel there, in the car, when it turned out. That's the first visual oddity that I've really, at least obvious visual oddity that I've spotted. Ah, there we go. Now it's crashed. Okay, I feel a little bit better. And that's something I wanted to show you guys, is this can happen when you overclock the GPU. And it varies from title to title whether this is going to happen or not. So that's it for GTA 5. We're going to go on to a new game. See you guys in a minute. Folks, here we are actually in Rocket League. I figured I'd test this one out since this game is known as being pretty friendly as far as low-end hardware goes. It seems to be running pretty good. I mean, I do see a bit of screen tearing. And just if you want to know what the quality settings are on this. And right now the GPU is not being overclocked, by the way. So we'll take a look at this is actually on, everything is on like high quality settings, right? And we're getting between 40 and 50 FPS, right? Which is pretty good. You know, it's smooth, no problems, yada, yada, yada. Let's go ahead and overclock the GPU while we're in high detail mode and see what that does. Yeah. It gives us a few more FPS. It seems to lock it a bit over 50. Which is fine. You know, no real problems there. Yeehaw. Okay. So let's go ahead and take everything down to low quality detail. So we're going to turn off anti-aliasing. We'll go with performance. Oh wait, no, high performance. There we go. Render detail, we'll go with performance. There we go. Alright, that basically took us down to kind of like low settings, and wow, we gained quite a bit of FPS, almost 30 FPS. We gained turning all the graphics options down. So, and that is overclocked. Let's see, we're getting over 80. Well, between 70 something and 80 something. Let's see what happens when I turn off the overclocking on the GPU here. Still runs pretty good, no real trouble. But I know what people are saying. Oh, well, you don't do Rocket League just to, you know, play the training. How does this work in an actual online match? Well, let's find out. So we'll go with this. Hopefully it gets me into somebody. There we go. Looks like we're going to join a game here in a moment. And by the way, this is the only online game that I regularly play in. And obviously my username is Bald Metal Nerd. So if anybody wants to friend me or anything in this game, that's how you do it. And let's see how we do. And it looks like the FPS is still doing pretty good. And this is an actual, obviously, live match against other people. I don't know how I'll play since I'm like talking and watching the FPS counter at the same time. Probably not well, I'd imagine. Where's my team married at? I don't know. I am not. My mind is not on the game. Yeah. Okay. My view's obstructed by my camera a little bit. But as you can see, we're getting between 60 and 70 FPS even in an online match in this old game. Or not old game, Jesus Christ. On this old computer. I know the game's like 5 years old, but... and I know like these esports titles aren't really designed to press hardware beyond belief, but it's good to know that at least a title like this is playable on this old computer. So... that's basically it. So, rather than having you guys watch an entire match, I'm going to actually pause this and we'll move on to the next game. Oh, guys, I just wanted to show you, now that the game's finally ended in overtime, I'm going to win MVP of this game because I got 2 of the 3 goals scored by my team. And I should have MVP. Yep, I got MVP. Good for me. 2 goals. Hooray for me. See you guys in a minute. Okay, folks, we're actually going to show off a much more period-appropriate game now, which is Transformers Fall of Cybertron. This game actually came out in 2010, and it's one of my favorite Transformers games ever, actually. I also really like Transformers Devastation, but we're getting off track here. This game is locked at 30 FPS, it looks like. So it doesn't matter if I were to upgrade the... okay, let's skip this. I am pretty sure I have everything maximized on... yeah, okay. Everything's set to high. We're on the... we're set to high details for everything. Let's just see if I can figure out how to transform. I don't know what... It's been a little while since I played this game, so... okay, so let's see if I can get into some combat and see if... I don't think we're going to have any dips below 30 FPS. Oh. I didn't realize I could fly. It's been too long since I played this game. It's been some years, I know that. No way to skip past this. This runs on the Unreal Engine 3, by the way, but yeah, I mean, perfectly smooth. There's no... there we go. We're still at 30 FPS. And this game, I think, has aged really well. Graphically, I think it still looks fantastic. You know, no issues there. So, alright, well... Can I hover? No, I just got a rocket boost. Hey, look at that! Megatron can fly in this game. Pretty cool. Alright, so... anyway, I'm going to pause this and we're going to move on to something else. Okay, so... here we have Fall of Cybertron, actually, which of course is the sequel to the last game I showed, and it's 2 years newer than the other game. This came out in 2012. Same game engine, Unreal 3. And as you can see, it's dipping a little bit below 60 FPS, especially in combat situations. Who am I firing at? Oh. It's still doing pretty good. I wonder if I can get this thing over at 60 FPS if I overclock. So let's find out, shall we? Pretty sure this game doesn't crash if you overclock the GPU. And it seems to hover. It tries to do a lock 60 FPS, I can see. Let's try to move on to another part of the game real quick. I gotta wait for this dialogue to end before I can move on. Come on, come on. And we are dipping slightly below 60, but still doing pretty good. Okay. Let's see what happens next. Okay. We did have a slight dip below 50 there, but it's hovering near 60 FPS lock, so but it's not like it's doing badly. I'd say this is extremely playable, needless to say. It's definitely not doing what I would consider bad. By the way, all the graphics options are set to, you know, high, maximum, whatever. So we still got that. Let's see if we can get into a little more combat. Oh, right. Okay. As you can see, it's running pretty damn well. I don't really have any complaints about this. So, yeah, I would say this hardware for, you know, period-appropriate games and a bit older, you know, even to a bit newer, seem to run just fine on this setup. Honestly, I might be able to run modern titles at much, much better speeds to sorry, if I had a modern graphics card in here, I could probably play much more modern games fairly well in this system, which is surprising. But again, you know, even though this is 10 years old, I don't know, the CPU still has pretty good performance. I'll show you guys, I guess, 4K YouTube next. That way you can see just how this system does with that, because that is kind of a pretty intensive modern task that not a lot of older stuff can do. So we'll see how it does with that. See you guys in a second. Okay, folks, here we have a 4K YouTube video, and I just want to show you guys right there. As you can see, quality is set to 4K. Let's see how playback looks. Let's go ahead and mute this, and we'll resume playback. And as you can see, silky smooth. Did have a little bit of a stuttering after the unpause for a second there, but overall, it's doing, I would say, exceptionally well. And we'll look at the CPU utilization here. That's because it only stopped because I paused it by clicking the video. So let's see how it does on resume here. Okay, there you go. It does stutter a little bit, but obviously, as you can see, it does play 4K YouTube relatively well. Overall, I would say it does good, and surprisingly, on this old machine, as 4K YouTube is pretty intensive and not the kindest to older processors and architectures. I'm not even going to attempt 8K because I can't get 8K to even work on my main computer. It won't play. So on this one, I know it definitely won't. But it does do 4K YouTube okay. So that basically kind of wraps it up for this video, truthfully. I wanted just to see how it would do, and it performed surprisingly well for something that's 10 years old. It just goes to show you just how much value there is still in old hardware. This journey's over my last few videos, has been a lot of fun. And I don't think I'm quite ready for it to end yet. I am going to test out a few laptops just for fun, some of these same tasks, and see how they do in comparison. I'm going to test out a business class laptop that's newish. It's from my current work, and I'm going to test out a budget laptop from, I don't know, it's a few years old. So we'll see how those things do, and that ought to be a lot of fun. That's pretty much going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, live long and prosper. Keep on rocking. I'll see you folks next time.